Mr. Hargrave here, and this is the ultimate guide, beginner's guide to Dark Dimension 3, 4, and 5. So a lot of the game has moved on past Dark Dimension, and we're working towards Apocalypse. But there's a lot of players out there, probably even more players, that will not be unlocking Apocalypse, and you're still trying to unlock Dr. Doom, trying to get Dormammu. And for the longest time, I've been holding off. I've been saying, don't build for Dormammu, right? I haven't wanted to talk about Dormammu. However, today, with as much as we know, now that all of the Scourges have been revealed, I think it's finally time that we can start talking about what we might do if you were a new player, if you're kind of holding off on Apocalypse, if you're going to go for Dormammu right now. What kind of teams would you build? Now, before we get started, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to push to 20,000 subscribers on this channel, and you can help. If you can hit that subscribe button for me, that would be amazing. Really help out the channel and keep us going here. It keeps me motivated. When I see the number go up, I get happy. Also, this video is part of a Beginners Start Here playlist. If you have not watched, part 1 and part 2 in this, check them out now. And then after this, check out the unlock guide, which I'm rather proud of. I put one out periodically where I talk about all of the current meta characters and this infographic that you're going to see right here. So this infographic has all of the characters that I'm using in the end game. And in that video, I'll go over all of this and what isotope 8 to use and where they're useful at and what I'm doing with them and why I've built them and all that kind of great stuff is in that video. So check that out and then check out the videos that came before this. Now, I am also going to include some updated information in this video that that it's kind of going to be a preview, because when I remake these, I'll remake the beginner's guide, I remake the team building guide, I remake the unlock guide, and I'll remake this guide, but it's going to be a while before I get back to this Dark Dimension guide. The next time we talk about Dark Dimension, I'm going to mention this in the video, is that when they finally announce who the rest of the strike team is going to be to unlock Apocalypse. I'm missing some information still to really help you focus on who to build. I'm going to do my best, but a lot of times I'm going to say well, until we know who's going to really be all the characters that we're going to need to unlock Apocalypse, we're going to come up a little bit short. But I wanted to get some of this information out there because I'm about to update this and we're about to start the cycle all up over again. But I do want to throw out some information about Dark Dimension before we do that. Now, let me go ahead and get this off the screen. I'm assuming that you've already watched or have these teams built. You've either watched the Start Here Beginner's Guide and the Team Building Guide. And in those videos, we've gone over these teams that I'm going to show here. So I'm assuming that you already know about that or have unlocked this. I've made a couple of changes, and these are going to be reflected when I remake those videos. And I make sure to delete any videos off this channel that are old, that are outdated. So when I update them, I remove the old ones and they're gone. So my beginner teams really haven't changed. I'm still suggesting the same characters, Young Avengers and Wakanda. I'm still suggesting this Mystic team to go after this Mystic team. I think the first change that we've brought in is for villains. I had Zombie Iron Man sitting here. Well, I can't assume that anybody has Zombie Iron Man anymore. So we're replacing him with Winter Soldier. So if you're building villains still, you're still working towards, getting through the villains campaign. First off, Morgan Le Fay is going to destroy the villains campaign for you. And a lot of new players are able to get a hold of her because they've made these legendaries so available through the Scourges, which is something we really focus on trying to get through in those videos. Next up, I've made a change to this Wakanda team where we're adding Winter Soldier and Captain America to it. These are characters that are easier to get a hold of for newer players and will be a stopgap until they make Nakia and Black Panther BC farmable. Until they become farmable, I would suggest just sticking with this core group of Black Panther, Okoye, Shuri if you can get her, and then go ahead and build up, Captain America and Winter Soldier and throw them on there for now. They're going to work just fine together. There's not like a lot of synergy between those two, but it just kind of makes a good global team is what it is. 4 Scourges. That's what that's for. And that's the change that I would recommend. Now, for mutants, we still have a problem. We did get some really, really good news this patch, and that is that Gambit is now farmable. So for new players, he's definitely one of the characters that you're going to raise up, get as many stars on as possible. He's one of the best, if not the best mutant character that new players can get. Yeah, he's the best. He's the best character new players can get. So you're definitely going to want to build him, get as many stars on him, because you're going to use him to unlock Magneto. So that's great. That's great news. And I threw a Phoenix on this. Phoenix is actually easier to get than a lot of other X-Men in this game. So I threw her on there. They're going to hand you Wolverine. You can farm Psylocke eventually. She's good to get. And then you might just have to grab Beast. I don't know. We really got to see where they end up putting Sunfire and Dazzler. And I think we're about ready to really start talking about Dark Dimension. Thanks for bearing with me. That was a little housekeeping I had to do because of the other videos. Already got a little bit outdated information, and they're only like a month old. This game moves fast. So while I'm out here talking to beginners, I did want to give you some of that information. If you're wondering, hey, what does Rebirth mean for me? What does this mean? You know, what should I be? Does it change your advice? That's how my advice is going to alter. A little sneak preview, and we'll see what happens when we redo the beginner's guide, how that alters. Okay, let's get into this advice. Now, I'm going to gear this at Dark Dimension 5. For Dark Dimension 4, you only need tier 15. I believe, and this is news. This is different right here, and this might change the whole graphic. I really got to think about this some more, because when we're talking about safe to build, everything under this level, this tier 15 level 80, is tier 12. However, now in Marvel Strike Force, tier 15 is starting to feel like the new tier 12, at least for me. I know lower down, that's probably not the case, but that's where the game is headed. They're kind of expecting that you can throw out tier 15 pretty casually at this point. They're going to keep on making that more and more available, that orange gear more available. So really the conversation becomes like, who are we going to take to tier 16? And that's why we're going to start talking about Dark Dimension 5, because as new players, as mid-game players, you're going to want to go get Dormammu at some point. He's going to help you out in various aspects of the game. And tier 15 is really not going to be a problem. So getting Dr. Doom, I would say, you know, those beginner teams, all those characters we were talking about, you can take all of them up to tier 15 and go get Dr. Doom. And I would suggest taking these characters to tier 15 first, and then maybe even tier 16 if you want to go get Dormammu before you go get Apocalypse. And the first team we're going to talk about here is the City team. You can see it right there. Shang-Chi, Ghost Spider, She-Hulk, Squirrel Girl, and Miles. She-Hulk is safe. You need her for Apocalypse anyway, so she's the only City character that we can build, we can take to tier 16, and she's going to hold value when you eventually go get Apocalypse, which who knows when you're going to do that. Like, if you're at the point where you're like, I don't have any tier 17 gear, I don't have enough tier 17 gear to seriously consider going after Apocalypse, then you're probably considering going after Dormammu, and that's why you're watching this video. And the characters I'm going to recommend are going to hold value the best, in my opinion, through all the game modes, through Arena, through Scourge, through Cosmic Crucible, through War, through Raids. These characters are going to be your linchpin characters that are going to carry your teams and carry you through the game until you get to the point where like the next year-long legendary unlocks, or they loosen up on tier 17 gear so that everybody can go get Apocalypse and not just a few players. So this is the City team that I'm recommending. I feel that Shang-Chi, he's still a part of the skill raid team. That might change, but for right now, and my advice is going to be, take all this, if you're considering doing this, take all this to tier 15, hold off on tier 16 on everything I'm saying until they announce the characters, the rest of the strike team that's going to be needed for Apocalypse. Because then all this advice, A lot of this advice might change. Some of it might hold true. So if you're really close to Dormammu and you're just waiting to pull the trigger on it, and you just want to know which characters are like the best characters and would hold the most value, then maybe go ahead with this plan. This isn't going to lead you that wrong. These characters are all good. You'll see most of this stuff I've taken to level 90. I've had it there for a long time. I've had it at tier 16 for a long time. These are all solid characters. They're going to remain solid in this game. They're going to help you through scourges. I actually did a whole bit on this for Addicted to Marvel Strike Force, which comes out every Monday. However, I had horrible stream issues and it all got cut out. So I had more explanations of this. I was going to tell you to go watch the video Monday. That doesn't exist anymore. So this is all the record I have of it. And hopefully it's enough for you. Anyways, I'm going to move on now. Just real brief, the city team, the reason why it's Ghost Spider and Miles instead of anybody else from Web Warriors is that Ghost Spider and Miles have the best synergy between them. If you're going to take 2 Web Warriors to tier 16, I would take them, and I would still recommend taking Squirrel Girl. Young Avengers is so important in Scourge, and having a bigger Squirrel Girl will really carry you through that content. All right, next up. Global is great. I don't know, I almost don't have to say anything about Global because all the Horseman characters are global. But the best ones, the ones that are going to hold the most value, Psylocke, Gambit, and then the rest of Gamma. Gamma is the number 2 team in this game, in my opinion, right now. Right now. And you already have She-Hulk. Add Hulk, add Brawn, add Abomination. Take them all to tier 16. They're good for Apocalypse anyways. This advice is rock solid. No one's going to argue with this for Global. Oh, by the way, none of this is going to be fun. I hate to tell you this, but this advice isn't so you can crush Dark Dimension 5. It's so you use the minimum amount of resources for the maximum amount of value. It's not so that you can do the best. It's going to be a miserable slog, but you'll get through it, and you'll get through it without wasting a lot of gear that you're going to be able to hoard up and use when you need it for either to go get Apocalypse eventually or for the next Apocalypse, right? When they announce Dark Dimension 6 or when they announce the next year-long thing, whatever that is. So we're just trying to conserve materials. All right. Now we're going to talk about probably the most controversial section of this, which is Cosmic. And Cosmic's been a big problem, a big mind block. It's one of the reasons why I haven't talked about Dark Dimension 5 on this channel for months. It's been a couple of months and people are like, Mr. Hartgrave, your advice doesn't take into account Dark Dimension 5. And I say, yes, don't do it. It sucks. There's no Cosmic characters. Now, keep in mind, if you do have Doctor Strange Heartless, build him up. Use him for this, but he's not farmable. I'm sticking to farmable characters on this as much as I possibly can. And that's a note about Global. Like he's going to be farmable very soon, so I put him on there. If you don't have him yet, maybe hold off on this plan until he becomes farmable. But they just made Abomination farmable, and I feel like Brawn's going to come soon. Either they're going to put him in the Arena Orb, they're going to put him in one of the stores. I don't know where they're going to put him, but that's what I would suggest right now. In lieu of him, you could throw Wong in there. You could throw a lot of other global characters there. Throw a rock and you'll hit a global character you can take in there, okay? All right, Cosmic. If you got Doctor Strange Heartless, take him. If not, what I recommend, what you're going to get the most value out of, is going to be Thor. Vital for Scourges, okay? Heroic Avenger, Asgardian, X-Men, Rangers are one of the best teams in the game. They're really good. I mean, not one of the best teams. They're underneath the top 10, but they're a decent team. What I mean to say is they're a decent team. I'm about to start building them, like you can already see. And the character you're going to build first on there is Thor. I've got mine up to level 90. A very crucial Scourge character. So putting tier 16 on him is going to hold value for you. Putting tier 16 on Hela is going to hold value for you. Eventually, Zombie Iron Man's going to be released at some point, I would assume. And that duo is a very end game duo. You're going to get value out of Hela being at tier 16. Kestrel is still holding insane value in this game, putting her up to tier 16. I consider dropping tier 17 on her any day now. And it really comes down to what are those strike characters going to be for Apocalypse? As soon as we know, if there's no skill, if there's no tech or only like one skill or tech, I'm putting tier 17 on Kestrel. She's that good in the end game still. Now, I'm adding T'Challa and I'm adding Ravager Stitcher. You can add the other two Ravagers if you want to, because the minions are now needed. This is happening. The Death Scourge is going to be out on Tuesday as of recording this video. And the Ravagers are the best team to have. The Ravager minions are the best minions to have for the Death Scourge. Now, the Death Scourge is very end game. If you're a new player, you're probably not going to get very much out of that at all. You're going to get maybe 10 shards of Archangel, maybe 15. It's going to take you a couple rotations to get there. You're not really going to be held back by your minions, but if you got a solid Ravager team, it's going to help you out, and it's going to help you out in other parts of Scourge as well. It's not a bad team to have. And if you're going to build all those Ravagers, if you got no other minions, the long story short on that, and I've said it in other videos, and this is coming up on Monday. We do talk about the Scourge on Monday and what's going on with that. But if you're going, and yesterday there was a video on this too. So all over this channel, I'm giving minion advice. My advice is giving everything I know. And this is going to be shown true here in a couple days as well. So stay tuned for that. Whatever minions you have, just build it. Whatever minions you already have built, top them off. You know, add a little extra gear tier or whatever. That's going to be enough for you. That's not the part that's going to hold you back. Like I'm saying in this video, mutants are crazy rare. Non-legendary mutants are very hard to get a hold of. Those are the ones that are going to hold you back. So what I'm recommending for Cosmic is that you think about taking T'Challa to tier 17 or tier 16. He's a tech character. There's not a lot of tech characters you're building. You got to think about how you're spreading out your traits here as well. You know, we have a lot of bio in city. We have a lot of bio in global as well. We're working in a few mutants there. If you can work in a few more mutants into global, do it. Just so many of them aren't farmable. The only really farmable mutants you can grab that aren't legendary are Psylocke and Gambit. But if you have the other ones, use them instead. Use that mutant gear there. It's a better place to put the mutant gear. We got a lot of mutant gear that's going to go into legendary as well. But so really, skill and tech, you got to find a spot for it. Tech I think Cosmic is the best place to put your tech gear. And that's why I got Ravager Stitcher there. That's why I got T'Challa there. I think that's the best option for what's going on today. Might change tomorrow. Finally, we have legendary down here. And like I said, I think it's going to be really difficult for new players to get Archangel. It's going to take a long time. So since we got to wait on that, and since we want a spot for that tech gear, we're going to put Iron Man there. If you got Nick Fury, there's only one skill legendary character. And I know it seems crazy in this day and age to take Nick Fury to tier 16. But if you're one step away from Dormammu and that's the only thing keeping you from it, I guess you got to consider it, man. The Horseman characters are no-brainers, though. Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, Red Hulk, those should definitely be the characters you're taking in to get Dormammu at this point. If you haven't already, all those characters, as you've seen, I've already taken them to tier 17. These are the most stable characters in the entire game. Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, and Red Hulk. You can put all the stars you can on them, all the gear you can on them, max them out, full Isotope 8, best characters in the game. I'm also throwing Magneto on here because I forgot in other videos. Here I am officially acknowledging it. Magneto is going to be a character you take in, but I think we got to get realistic, man. People going after Dormammu right now, they ain't going to have Archangel. If you're lucky enough to unlock them, take them. Then you can get Iron Man out of here. But you still might need to consider them because you might need the tech gear. But we won't know until they finally announce what's needed for, what's needed to unlock Apocalypse. We're still kind of missing that piece of the puzzle. But if you're getting close, and I would take all these to tier 15. Like, these are the characters to take to tier 15 before any other characters right now. These characters are going to help you out the most in Scourge and all other game modes. and it's going to spread the gear out in a pretty good way. Like I said, if you got more mutants, throw them in on Global. If you got Doctor Strange Heartless, throw them in here for Cosmic. Good luck to you. I hope you're able to achieve all the things you want to in Marvel Strike Force and in life in general. You can trust me on that. I'm Mr. Hartgrave. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, comment down below. Check out the Unlock Guide and keep digging.
He told me that he thought we were selling out, laying down, sucking up to the